Morning, humans. We are super excited to announce that Courtney and I will be launching our first podcast, Storytime. And we're bringing you into the lives of inspiring locals, athletes, musicians, actors, and more. And we are so ready to tell you a story.
We
How are
have
you,
been
Courtney?
trying to plan this forever, it feels like,
Oh my God,
basically since
yeah.
COVID, right? Like,
Yeah.
shut down. And we cannot wait. Ashley and I do not like talking about ourselves. So this
Yeah.
podcast is great because you don't have to hear about us. You can hear about all
Yep.
these amazing people. And Ashley, I don't know about you, but I'm really excited for our first guest.
Oh, yeah. Nick is so great, and I'm so ready to introduce him to you all.
Yeah, so stay tuned. And you guys will get to meet one of our favorite people. All right, welcome everyone to, like Ashley said, our first episode of Storytime. We are so excited because we have Nick Heath with us right now from the Kansas City Royals. So before we get into any serious questions, I just want to say, Nick, when we were thinking about who we wanted as our first guest, you instantly were our top choice because after you guys did your photo shoot earlier this year, Ashley was like, all right, he's the best, funniest person. I'm so jealous I was not at the shoot. But we are so thrilled and so grateful that you wanted to be our first guest.
Of course, anything for y'all too. I'm always for it.
So the photo shoot, saw the pictures. They're great. I mean, I laughed at many of them just because your facial expressions. But my question is, has anybody hit you up for any modeling contracts since then?
Actually, there was this group in Florida, back pretty close to where my parents live, and they asked if I'd ever thought about doing anything like that, and I kind of told them no, just kidding. I mean, I don't know, that wasn't the first thing on my mind, but like you introduced us, and obviously had the opportunity to go down there and work with her a little bit. It was really fun, and I feel like most photo shoots probably aren't that fun, so I was like. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's something I'll do later on. Maybe who knows?
Next time you're back in Arizona, you got to work with Ash again. I'll make sure I'm there. Round 2, we'll do it.
Oh, 100%. I'll be there after the season. No, I don't got to worry about it. We'll make it round 2 happen.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely the easiest shoot I've done. And I think I was so surprised, like, just by how quickly we connected. Like, normally there's kind of this awkward, like, hey, I don't know you, you don't know me. But, like,
nah, it's all right. We just got into it. We were comfortable, whatever brings us. Yeah, fun with it.
All right. So it looks like you're on the road. Tell everybody where you are right now.
We are currently in Milwaukee. Just left Detroit last night. Got the off day today, so I'll probably relax. I don't know if I'm allowed to leave the hotel and walk around the city. I'm in Milwaukee, but
yeah. I was going to ask because normally MLB off days, I guess minor leagues too, like you have the day to kind of explore and see the city and go try all the best local food. And now I feel like y'all are just stuck in your rooms the whole time.
Yeah, we're kind of stuck in here, but I don't think it's going to stop me from trying the local food, DoorDash. And if you guys would have called me a couple hours from now, I might have had a few different bags laying around somewhere.
Oh, man. That would have made me hungry. It's still early here, so I'm not hungry yet, but I chugged so much caffeine before this just so I can function.
I had a little small cup of coffee, so I understand where you're going. I'm kind of racing right now.
What time did you get to the hotel this morning or late last night?
We got here like 12:30-ish, and then got our bags like 1 something. So I probably didn't go to sleep till like 3 o'clock, just getting off the plane, watching a little bit of TV, and fall asleep whenever I fall asleep. But I didn't have to be up at a certain time today, so it didn't really bother me at all.
Well, we appreciate you making the time for us. So it's your first season in the big leagues. I know Ashley and I were all over social media when we found out
Yeah.
got called up. We were like,
I
the
think we
biggest-
texted each other like immediately. We were
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, Nick made it!"
like sending each other screenshots of the
Yeah.
social posts, like so excited. I was texting my family. I was like, y'all need to watch.
Yeah.
But tell us how it's definitely different now, obviously, with it being the summer camp and then the big league team and just not having minor leagues. So kind of walk us through how you found out that you got the call.
I was playing Call of Duty with some of my friends. That sounds about like me, right? I was playing Call of Duty with some of my friends back home. Got a call at like 11:15, 11:30, somewhere in there, from somebody in our front office. And kind of the only thing was going through my head is like, man, why are you calling me so late? You know what I mean? And I pick up the phone and he's talking to me, and it's kind of like small talk for a little bit. And, just going back and forth. And he was like, look, man, I'm not going to hold you. He was like, the team's going to need you tomorrow in Detroit. And he was like, you got to pack a bag, man. You're going to the big leagues. And then he kind of spoke a little bit after that, but I didn't really hear what he said. I was like, wait, what did he just say? What did he just say? So I'm like listening to him, but I'm not really listening to him at the same time. And I'm kind of like freaking out on the inside. And I'm like, hey, stop playing with me. What'd you just say? And he's like, yeah, man, congrats. You're going to the big leagues. And I was like, no way. Don't play with me. So oddly enough, my PlayStation is right next to me, right? So my headset, my mic is up right now, but usually I would put it down. And I left it down during the phone call, not thinking about it. I left it down during the phone call, not thinking about it. And so he's talking to me, and I'm kind of going back and forth with him about what's going on. I'm like, oh, thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Da, 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 da. And I can hear my friends. My headset's still on. So my friends are in one ear, and I'm on the phone in the other ear. And I got my mic down, and I hear one of them in the background. I'm like, man, that sounds like some good news. And one of them was like, is he going to the big leagues? And I hear everybody on one side like yelling and screaming, and I like can't focus on both. So I'm trying to like keep my composure and talk to him, and I'm like, thank you so much. And he was like, call your mom, so on and so forth. So as soon as I hang up the phone, I end up like I didn't call my mom for almost like another 45 minutes or something like that, because we're in the middle of the game and the team needed me.
Priorities.
Come on, all right? And I'm like, yo, what did he just say? And I had to like stop the game. So we're all four standing like in the middle of the mat, and we're all just like screaming on the microphone. So it was pretty fun. It was pretty funny. And, we ended up finishing the game, and I was like, look, y'all, I got to pack a bag. I got to go to sleep because I got to leave tomorrow morning at like 7. And they were like, all right, cool, man, go do your thing. So I call my mom as I'm in the middle of packing. And my mom, it's probably 12:45-ish, whatever, when I give my mom a call, maybe 1 o'clock, somewhere in there for her. And I call, and she picks up the phone. I'm like, Mom, I'm going to the big leagues. They just told me. And she's like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, Mom, you suck. What? Big leagues.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
That's exactly what was going through my head. She was like, oh, we're so happy for you. Congratulations. And I'm like, all right, Mom, go back to bed, whatever. So we get off the phone. And my mom calls me the next morning at like 6 o'clock my time. She's like, you're going to the big leagues. That's way better. So, no, it was a pretty cool experience, and it's kind of one of those. I cried, like freaked out for a minute, and I cried, and just had like that moment of like, no way, this is actually happening. Obviously, you work your whole life towards that, and it finally comes around. So, it's pretty relieving. It's a pretty awesome feeling. And, we kind of been, working our way up since after that, or, since that moment.
And I know with baseball, there's a little delay between when they tell you and when they announce it to everybody. Mm-hmm. So once the Royals made the announcement, I know my timeline was just filled with like everybody freaking out, but did your phone just blow up? I know I sent you texts, like, was everybody just going crazy?
I might have gotten like, I don't know, somewhere around like 450 to 500 text messages, like when the whole thing happened, just from, so many different people. And it was, it's a pretty cool feeling to know that like a lot of different people, were kind of following along and keeping track of what was going on. So, a lot of people from back home, when my mom posted it, all my mom's friends were saying something, her coworkers and stuff like that. You guys go to like family reunions and I haven't seen, so-and-so since they were this big and yada, yada. I got a whole lot of those stories. I got a whole lot of phone calls and text messages, just saying congratulations. But people understood and, hey, we don't want to bug you too much. We just want to say congratulations and, go out there and show them what you're made of, so on and so forth. So having that experience was pretty cool. Being able to see the support that I had away from baseball. And then being able to see, the people, like I said, followed along and kept track of what was going on. They were able to see the news as well. So that was a really, really fun experience, man. Second to none, in my opinion, just in terms of, the way that people spoke to me about, everything that was going on, and a lot of people saying that they knew I could get here, even when sometimes I didn't think I was going to be able to get here myself. So, man, I love my support system, and I think that's what continues to push me forward. So that was an amazing experience, and having all those people reach out and say we've been waiting for this moment just as much as you have is really awesome.
And then to get into your first major league game, obviously this year, unfortunately, it's different to where you can't have family and friends all in the stands cheering for you with the signs and the shirts and all of that, but obviously still watching on TV. What was it like just finally going to the game, playing against guys that have been in the league for 10 plus years? Was it kind of a surreal experience?
I'll be honest with you. So my first, I didn't start my debut. I just came and ran bases late in the game. We were playing in Detroit. And it was kind of nuts because he was like, hey, man, it's your turn. Go get him. And I'm like, what? So I went out there. I was at first base. And I like almost had a moment of just kind of like blacking out. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, snap. So my heart was racing when he was like, yo, let's go. It's your turn. Get out there. And I'm like, oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Like, don't trip.
Right. Like, don't fall. Don't brush your face. Something. And knowing me, that would happen, right? But no, I get out there and guys like, hey, man, congratulations. And I'm just like, thanks.
Like, don't throw my
game
off.
zone. You gotta get
I'm
game
still kind of freaking out on the inside. I'm like, oh snap, I'm out here. But like, I can only imagine what it's like when you probably got 25, 30,000 people in the stands and so on and so forth. So, as much as it's not as cool not having fans in the stands, I think it was probably a little bit easier for me, just on my nerves. So I wasn't going out there being like, oh my God, what's happening? That first time he told me, like, hey man, you're in there, we need you to make something happen. That was that was scary as hell. And it was late game. It was a situation that we kind of needed a run and to kind of solidify some things for us. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, boy, you better not screw this up. So, I just had so many different thoughts going through my head, like I'm sure a bunch of other guys have, who have been in my shoes as well. So that first time being out on the field, although you've been playing the game your entire life, that doesn't really compare to too much.
And have you gotten used to it now, or is it still kind of like a pinch me moment every time you're out there?
I think it's a little bit easier to go about it during the day, during your routine and so on and so forth. But every time I step on the field, from first pitch or if I got to come in and run late, I'm always like, oh shit, I'm out here. You know what I mean? So I think, that just kind of shows my personality and how excited I am, to be a part of this team, be able to say that I'm a big leaguer and I want to contribute, to the organization somehow, some way. So, it is a pinch me moment. You go out there and you're like, damn, I was standing next to like Javier Baez and Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo and Miggy's 20 feet from me. You know what I mean? Like these are people you grow up watching on TV or, for me, Miggy and the older guys. But like, as I'm coming up through the minors and seeing these guys, kind of make their way to stardom, younger players, you're like, damn, I'm out here standing next to this guy. You know what I mean? Like I'm one of these guys now. So
Have you ever met someone that you're like, oh my God, like I really looked up to them, like kind of almost fangirl a little bit, or not yet?
I would honestly say that kind of happened for me when I played winter ball in Dominican. Hanley
Okay.
Ramirez was probably the first person I'd ever been like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Because
Stanley's
like,
the man.
you know what I mean? Like I was in high school and he was like making all-star teams. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm watching him middle school, high school, and I'm 26 and Hanley Ramirez is hitting in the cages with me. I'm like, who the hell would have ever thought I was about to be here? You know what I mean? Like, so being able to see that, and even when you're out there on the field and you speak to other guys and you have interaction with other guys and you kind of realize, we're still all humans, we're still, all people, we're kind of just putting on a uniform and playing a game that we love. But looking at them from a different perspective, looking at them and being like, this guy's on TV. I want to be on TV one day. And then being on TV next to that dude, you're like, oh shit. So like I definitely had some experiences, but I'm like, oh shit, don't freak out. That's so and so. You know what I mean?
Like, keep
But
your
I think that
cool.
exactly. But obviously, as time passes and I'm able to be able to say, I'm one of these guys. It's obvious the feeling's obviously gonna go away. I'm still gonna be able to come out here and I'm gonna look at him and be like, I can't wait to kick your ass when this game starts. You know what I mean? It's kind of where I'm transitioning to right now.
And during the basically second off season, I know you worked out with like Trevor Bauer and did all of those videos just with the batting practice and stuff. So how did you get involved in that, and how did you start kind of getting into all of his little side sessions in the middle of nowhere in Arizona?
Actually during spring training last year, or during spring training this year, Watch Momentum, which is kind of, his group, they kind of go around, recording things, showing, different sides of ball players and allowing people to kind of promote themselves just with their personality and how they go about themselves. They reached out to me during spring training and asked if I wanted to do a segment with them. So I went down there and did one with my roommate at the time, who was Heath, and went down there. We talked to him. We kind of played a little game. We had a pretty good interaction with them. And then when the quarantine started, maybe a week or two, a couple weeks into it, they reached out again and they were saying, "Hey man, Trevor's gonna do some live ABs for guys who still want to see arms, for guys who want to come down here and swing and continue to get work in." They said, we'll go out here to the desert. We got rules, so don't come out here in a carpool. You know what I mean? Don't bring 4 or 5 people with you. If you're come by yourself, we're gonna, wear masks, stay 6 feet away from each other, so on and so forth. So they did everything in terms of, social distancing that we're supposed to. And I got out there and Bauer was awesome. You know what I mean? I know sometimes he probably gets a tougher rap on social media because he speaks his mind, but you get to see him in person and you get to sit down and talk to him in person. And all he ever does is, he kind of uplifts you. He chirps a little bit, you know what I mean? Just the competitive side of him, just like we all have. But he was awesome. He was very appreciative of us coming out there and allowing him to get his work in. And even more so thankful for him for allowing me to go out there and get my work in along with a bunch of other minor league and major league guys. So that awesome experience was unbelievable. You know what I mean? You see these, like I said, you see some of these guys on TV and next thing you know, you're out just getting your work in with them. So he gave us an opportunity to come out there and get better instead of, just sitting at home on the couch and, playing video games like I had been doing. That's kind of how I got wrapped into that. And then, they started doing it. They were doing it once a week and they started doing it twice a week. And next thing you know, more and more guys are showing up. You're seeing different arms. So that kind of kept me prepared going into our little summer camp that we had, Spring Training 2.0. And, that kind of got me a little pub too, honestly, just being around him and being around those guys and kind of understanding, how things are going to work. You get to see big league arms. You get to see minor league arms, people you never know if you're going to see again. So it's cool to go out there and stand next to those guys, kind of listen to how they operate, see who they are as a person behind cameras or away from, a bunch of other baseball players. So it's pretty cool.
Definitely. Well, I'm glad. I'm sure Ashley's just as happy that during kind of off-season 2.0 that people have gotten or did get to see your personality.
Yeah.
Because you're awesome. And I know a lot of times, especially when they're minor leaguers, a lot of times the public outside of that organization's fans don't get to see it. So it was awesome just kind of seeing you pop up all over during the second off season.
Yeah.
So it's great.
I remember when you did stuff for Momentum, and I don't know who you were playing against, but it was the one with the frisbee where like you guys found the guys with the frisbee, and I was dying laughing, and I sent it to probably like 15 people and was like, hey guys, this is the guy I did the shoot with, like this is how he like hits and stuff, and everyone was like, man, we're gonna watch him now. Like that was
The best. That was pretty
hilarious.
cool. That where we were at, honestly, we were kind of just like on the side of a mountain. Like
Yeah, they all texted me, they're like, did they just go to a random mountain? And I was like, I don't know.
exactly what it is. They gave me the address, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna pull up at a park, maybe it'd be like a little small baseball field or something. Nah, it was just like a mound that they brought, the portable mound, a plate that they just like cut out, put some rocks on top of it, and a drop sock net behind me or whatever. So it's pretty cool. You know what I mean? You're like, this is what we about to do, and then it starts happening. You're like, oh snap, this is actually kind of fun. So we got to the point where we were, you know, bringing music and you know, guys were out there, you know, having a little more fun. You know what I mean? Guys kind of getting used to each other, but we were kind of playing in the middle of like a frisbee golf course. And I don't know, on any given day we might be hitting and somebody will walk up and be like, hey, can I throw my frisbee? Like, do your thing, man. Like, we're the ones in the way. And that video you're talking about, I'm like, it can't be that hard to throw a frisbee 300 yards, can it? Right? And I'm trying to throw this frisbee on a spike. Like, you know what? I'm good. It is hard. So, and even, you know, there were a couple of times where, you know, we kind of just stood back and watched those guys throw. We're like, there's no way that you guys are able to get these frisbees to go like that. So, I don't know, that experience with Watch Momentum and Trevor and all the different guys that came out there, you know, to kind of be a part of it was really, really fun. And I hope I get the opportunity to do that again without the quarantine.
I'd support it. And then another thing that came out of the second off season was the whole Black Lives Matter movement. We won't get really deep into it just because both Ashley and I know and watched many times how many interviews you've done and shared your story and have really just preached that we need change. But what I will ask is what change have you seen in Major League Baseball since then? Because every team has made their statement. Every team has tried to let the players take control of how they want to go about change. So what have you seen with the Royals and what have you been really proud of?
I'll say, and I'll just be honest, I'll say at first, I didn't really think I saw a lot from my team. And I think at first that was kind of disappointing, and just mostly because I thought, you know, maybe I had a better relationship with some of the guys, and seeing how there was kind of a little bit of radio silence when this stuff was kind of starting to kick off was a little irritating. It was a little frustrating. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because how can I look at some guys, or how can some guys look at me and say we're friends or we're brothers or they love me or we're teammates and so on and so forth. But like something like this comes up and I didn't feel like anybody necessarily had my back. Now, fast forward a little bit, and I'm here with the team and I get to spend more time with them and kind of better understand who guys are, and guys kind of get to better understand who I am. And then guys pulling me off to the side saying, you know, we want to apologize for not speaking up on this sooner. We didn't know what to say. We didn't know how to say it. You know, we didn't know what was okay to ask, what wasn't okay to ask, and so on and so forth. So at first I was a little upset. And then as time has gone on, and even today, you know what I mean? I'm going to meet with one of my teammates later. He wants to talk about a few things, and that's perfectly fine with me. But I think as time has gone on a little bit, guys kind of understand who I am, and I'm not it's not like I'm standoffish. You know what I mean? It's not like you couldn't come to me with something that, you know, was on your mind. So guys have pulled me to the side and kind of given me their 2 cents in terms of like not understanding, you know, what to say, when to say it, how to ask it, how to say it, so on and so forth. So just sitting down and being able to have that dialogue with different guys, it's really nice. You know what I mean? And it kind of shows that guys did care. They just didn't necessarily know how to navigate their way through it. And I think that's okay. I think that's understandable. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there who are probably feeling the same way. They don't agree with what's going on, but they don't necessarily know how to approach it or know what to say. So I've had a few conversations with my teammates, and me being me, and I can't say this for everybody, but me being me, just say what's on your mind. And I'm not going to interpret it in a bad way. I'm not going to interpret it and take it, as malicious. But I tell guys, if you got something to say and you don't know how to say it how the hell you thinking it. If you don't mean anything by it, I'll understand. I'll be able to see your body language. I'll be able to see by the way you're speaking to me, or so on and so forth. So some of these guys, definitely stepping up to the plate. I would say a lot of the guys are definitely stepping up to the plate in terms of trying to understand and trying to learn and trying to put themselves in my shoes. I won't go too into detail about it, but we kind of had a meeting as a team, and we sat down and we discussed some things, and guys had questions. Guys, said their 2 cents. Guys, spoke about, different trials and tribulations that they had gone through, things that they'd seen or not seen, or had no clue that was actually going on. So I think as the season has gone on, guys are definitely being a little more comfortable. And I know comfortable is kind of a big word to use for this, but guys are definitely more comfortable, in being in that situation and having an uncomfortable conversation. And I think it's nice for them to know that they can come to a teammate. They can go to some of our coaches. I'm sure some of them have African-American friends that they can go to. But, obviously us having this small brotherhood as a team and, us always being around each other, I think it's probably pretty easy for guys to be able to sit down and say, hey, man, this is what I've been thinking about, or this is what I have questions about. So navigating our way through that was tough at first. Like I said, it was a little upsetting, but the more we have gone through it and the more we've gotten through it, I think it's been a little bit easier to, have those conversations with my teammates.
Yeah, that's great. And I know just for my team too, it's kind of the same. Most of I think all of our Black players aren't from America. They're all from different countries. So it's kind of understanding, what they dealt with growing up and then coming here. And I know Ashley works with Phoenix Rising a lot too. And one of their Jamaican players said, we didn't feel racism until we got to America and realized what it was like. And I think it's just, like you said, so important that those conversations are now being had, as uncomfortable as they may be. So I think Ashley and I can both say, props to you for always sharing your story. Yeah. I teared up when you were in that round table telling everybody what you've been through and being so open. And I think that's huge just for kids too, looking up to you. So kind of on that same message, you've also been really vocal about kids having the ability and the chance to play club ball. Ashley brought it up last night too when we were kind of planning what we wanted to talk to you about. And just club ball's expensive and not everyone can afford it. And I know my brothers, they grew up in Scottsdale, so it was never an issue. But many other places around the country, like a lot of kids can't afford that opportunity. So kind of what did you experience growing up with your just teammates and all of that? And then what can you use your position now for to advocate for all these kids to be able to play?
I want to say when I was coming up playing baseball, that we didn't necessarily have the means for me to go out and go play in, East Cobb like other guys did. I didn't go out and play in like perfect game or anything like that. I wasn't able to do that. I guess we kind of just, got it any way we were able to. Thankfully, I had people in my life who had access to facilities that I could go use. One name comes to mind as I'm coming up. His name is Phil Morgan. And I really, really owe a lot to Phil. And it's gonna make me soft real quick, but I owe a lot to Phil. There were moments I wasn't able to necessarily afford to even go to baseball lessons with him. You know what I mean? And instead of telling me I couldn't come because I couldn't afford it, he gave me the key to the place that he owned. So, it would be plenty of different moments where I'd be like, dang, I don't got the money this week to go. Or I don't have the money today to go. So I just wouldn't go. And he would call me and he'd be like, hey man, where you at? And I'd be like, I couldn't make it today. And I, sometimes a little embarrassed about saying, I wasn't able to pay him for, being able to use the facility. And I think the older I got, the easier it was for me to be able to say, look, man, like I don't got it. I'm not gonna be able to come. And then we kind of sat down and had a conversation, and he was like, look, I see the way you work when it comes to, how you prepare yourself, how you come in here and you get to work, and so on and so forth. So instead of charging you, he was like, I'm just gonna give you the spare key. And whenever you feel like you want to come up here and hit, I don't care what time it is, just shoot me a text and let me know in case something happens. But eventually he just, like I said, gave me the key, and I would go up there. It'd be 3:00 in the afternoon, it'd be 11:30 at night, it'd be 1 a.m. if I wanted to hit at 1 a.m. So he kind of gave me the access to being able to put myself in a better position. I've had some travel ball coaches who didn't necessarily make us do everything we're supposed to be able to play. I played a lot of city league ball. So looking back on it and kind of understanding that everybody doesn't have the means to go out there and have the access to, facilities to hit and work out and do so on and so forth, or not able to afford being on a travel ball team. I don't know what I can do, but I'm in the works with it right now. I'm talking to a few people trying to figure out, an easier way to get people more involved in baseball without having to charge them so much money to come and play the game. You know what I mean? In other sports, in basketball, you need like $30 for a basketball. You can go shoot hoops anywhere. You know what I mean? You need $60 for a pretty decent football. You don't even have to have a decent football. You need $60 for a pretty good football. And you can go out there and work on something by yourself. You can go out there and work on something with one other person. But baseball's a little bit different. You know what I mean? You got to have the facilities. You got to have the ball, the bat. The bat costs $400. The glove costs $300. So looking at that and kind of understanding that, people don't always have the means to be able to afford what it takes to actually play the game of baseball. I'm kind of in the process of figuring out how I'm able to, like other players as well, but in the process of figuring out how we're able to make baseball more accessible to people who don't have access to it. Whether that be hosting free camps, whether that be, mailing out used items or something like that to younger players. I know my school did a scholarship this year for minority players, and two of the players that earned the scholarship, had conversations with them, sat down with them, and obviously, told them what it means to be African American in baseball. You kind of have to hold yourself to a little bit higher standard. You kind of have to, you got to go, above and beyond if you don't have everything that you need to have and the resources that you need to be able to kind of make yourself seen. So we got those guys some free gloves. We got them some free shirts, some free gear, whatever. And we're going to, have all that stuff sent out to them. It's kind of in the process of being made, their gloves and so on and so forth. So just trying to give back in any way possible. Hopefully it touches somebody younger than me. And when they hit the age of 25 or 26 and they're in the same position, I'm able to do the same thing for somebody else. So I'm just trying to spread a positive message and let people know that, you're not the only person going through a lot of things baseball related. And if you really want to play, you'll find a way to play. But, just trying to give back to the community and trying to figure out a way to, get people involved as we can, especially young African-American players, considering, there's not so many of us in baseball right
now.
I think that's awesome too, Nick. Like, I really, really am grateful that, like, you're kind of paving the way for these kids and making sure that they have access to whatever means they need to get to that professional level. And I think that's really awesome that you're doing that. Not a lot of players take time aside to notice that issue and then see how we can resolve it. So I want to say thank you.
While we're on this topic, I want to go ahead and plug in one of my friends, Sterling Sharp. He has a program that he gives back to the city of Detroit for kids. And, when they make good grades and they play well on the baseball field, they're rewarded. But he was pitching for every ground ball that he got, for every ground ball out that he got. He donated X amount of money to a foundation that he's starting up, and just giving back to kids and giving them the access, the opportunity to play baseball, helping them want to stay in school, but at the same time come out after school and, work on their craft and work on being better baseball players. So there are a lot of things that, a lot of different guys around are doing. So if you guys check out my social media over the next couple of days, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to start trying to plug in a lot of different things that I see, so people who might not be able to see them otherwise are able to see them through my page and see the other players out there trying to do, whatever they can to help the community as well. So you guys be on the lookout for that, and I'll definitely have a few different things posted up so people can check in.
And how can people follow you? What are your handles?
In Heath We Trust on everything.
No.
Twitter and Instagram.
Give them a follow.
I love a good follow. I'm very interactive. I like speaking. I mean,
all right, and then final question. You kind of already covered it with the last one that I asked, but just based on your journey, and especially coming up through the minor leagues, I've seen guys not be able to handle it and just leave the game, go to regular jobs, but you've made it. So what advice would you have either for young kids that are just now starting to play club ball or just now learning how to swing a bat, up to people that still may be in the minor leagues? What advice would you have for them just to keep going and to keep pushing for their dreams?
It sounds pretty cliche, but I just don't think you can quit. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of different scenarios that I've had throughout my career and moments where I'm like, Mom, I'm about to come home tomorrow. You know what I mean? And you hear it a lot, but it's kind of grueling. It kind of weighs down on you a lot, There's so many different things going on all at once. You got to perform for yourself. You got to perform for your team. You got to perform for a promotion to get here. You know what I mean? And sometimes, that stuff kind of weighs on you when everything doesn't go your way. And we know baseball is very frustrating. It's a game of failures. So just in terms of coming out here and playing every day, you can't quit. If there's something you feel like you need to work on, you kind of got to obsess over it a little bit. You know what I mean? This is kind of something, if this is something you want to do, you have to put yourself, in a position of being uncomfortable, in a position of having to go through some adversity and kind of understanding that everything isn't going to go your way. And something else I would tell people is to always bet on yourself. You might be in situations where somebody says it's best for you to go do this or best for you to do something else. But if you feel, that you have the ability and you're comfortable in doing what you do, and that you can go above and beyond, and you got that extra gear in you that people, might not think you have, sometimes you kind of just got to say screw it. And you know what I mean? You got to bet on yourself, and you kind of got to tell people like, all right, cool, I hear you, but I'm not going to listen. Watch what I go do. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my thought process through a lot of things. And, there's times it's frustrating and it doesn't work out for you, but if you continue to just push and remind yourself how great you can be, how great you want to be, that's all a thought process. That's all a thought process. And being able to sit down and look at yourself at the end of the day and say, I gave it everything I had today. Get my rest in, I'm going to go and I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow and try to give it even more effort. You know what I mean? So I know there are a few guys that I play with and had conversations with, and it weighs on them. And just the game, being away from your family, being away from your friends, especially in a season like this where you don't necessarily get to see your friends and family because, everything's kind of watched. You know what I mean? You got to stay in your hotel rooms. We got to continue to keep ourselves and our team safe so we can go out there and field the team. So it weighs down on you, but having a good foundation and being able to believe in yourself and trusting yourself and telling yourself you can get through whatever you got coming your way. I think a lot of people should kind of buy into that thought process and watch, reap the benefits from that.
Cool. Love it.
Sweet. Well, thanks, Nick, and thanks for coming on with us. We appreciate it, and hopefully we can have you on again soon. We love chatting with you.
And for sure.
Third co-host. Let's do it.
I know. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. I'm the third co-host? I'm going to ask you questions.
Perfect. You can take my job because it gives me anxiety trying to ask all these questions.
Why does it give you anxiety? Oh, I'm going to ask all the good questions. What's the worst play you guys have ever had? Worst park you ever played in? Oh, my God. I got so many questions. I'll send them to you right after this.
Perfect. We'll send you a contract and we'll get it done.